On September 29, 2019, a seemingly ordinary Sunday in the far northern region of São Paulo, Brazil, Anhanguera Park in the Peru's district became the backdrop for one of the most unsettling cases in recent years. Raíssa Eloá Caparelli Dadona, only 9 years old, had left home with her mother to attend a charity event held at the zoo. Raissa was autistic and had speech difficulties, but expressed herself through gestures and smiles that touched everyone around her. Raissa was born and raised in Peru's São Paulo, in a humble and loving family. She was enrolled in public school and regularly attended therapy sessions and school activities. That Sunday, feeling safe and surrounded by familiar faces, her mother allowed her daughter to play for a few minutes with a 12-year-old boy, a neighbor and someone the family knew. That was the last time she saw her daughter alive. The boy, who had a history of difficult behavior and had already been seen by municipal psychologists, disappeared along with Raissa. Around 2 p.m., the mother realized her daughter was no longer nearby and, in desperation, alerted CEU staff and the municipal guard. A search began, but as time passed, no clues emerged. The boy had been seen leaving the CEU with Raissa and returning alone about 30 minutes later. Security cameras recorded them walking together toward the park, a wooded area near the educational center. The boy came back alone, walking quickly with a distant look in his eyes. When questioned, his response was vague. She stayed back, there. Later that afternoon, the search was reinforced by the military police. It wasn't until around 7 p.m. that, just a few meters from the main trail, amid branches and leaves, something caught an officer's attention. The scene that followed silenced the entire team. The anxiety turned into disbelief from that moment on. The case took a darker turn. The boy was found again and taken to the police station. He showed no emotion, no fear, no remorse. What had happened on that trail? How had a Sunday celebration ended in a silent tragedy? And why was the young boy at the center of it all? At the 5th Police Precinct, the 12-year-old boy was interviewed in the presence of child protection counselors and psychologists. For hours, he maintained a distant, almost apathetic posture. Gradually, between pauses and brief statements, he began to describe what had happened. According to his testimony, after leaving the CEU, he and Raissa entered the park together. He had convinced her to go with him to a more secluded area. Without explaining why, he gave conflicting versions to the investigators. In one, he said he left Raissa in a wooded area and walked away. In another, he claimed someone showed up. The boy seemed confused, but the disturbing details he offered painted a clearer picture. He described specific features of the place where the girl's body was later found. Before any of this information had been released to the press, Raissa's family couldn't comprehend what had happened. Her mother was in shock when she learned where her daughter was found. Her father, a security guard, was inconsolable. Friends and neighbors couldn't believe that something like this had happened in their peaceful community, a place known for school events and neighborly gatherings. Meanwhile, the boy underwent psychological evaluations. It wasn't his first sign of troubling behavior. School records documented aggression, social isolation, and signs of emotional detachment. His family, too, lived under similar social conditions. They were also local residents. His mother was known in the neighborhood, and his father was absent. Reports suggested he spent a lot of time alone with limited adult supervision. A major twist came when investigators reviewed footage from Anhanguera's security cameras. They clearly showed the boy and Raissa exiting through a side gate that led directly into Anhanguera Park. No one else was seen with them. When the boy returned, he was holding something in his hands. The images gave the investigation a new and focused direction. On the morning of Monday, September 30th, 2019, the boy was brought again to the precinct. This time, with more caution, authorities requested the presence of child welfare professionals and juvenile court representatives. The boy, eyes vacant and behavior restrained, began offering more coherent statements. He didn't cry, showed no regret, and spoke almost robotically. He said he had taken Raissa to a remote part of the park where she got scared and tried to run. Fearing adult punishment, he said he tied her so she wouldn't run. The way he said it, as if it were something ordinary, shocked investigators. Authorities compared his statement with surveillance footage. One video showed Raissa and the boy leaving CEU together at 1:58 p.m. 30 minutes later. He returned alone. A detail stood out. He was carrying something in his hands, though it was never revealed to the public. These images were crucial in confirming that they left together and that he returned alone for a reason yet unknown. At the site where Raissa's body was found, Forensic experts noted improvisation. Clothes were used unusually. There were no signs of third-party footprints or struggle, pointing to an act carried out by someone the girl trusted, or at least didn't resist. The boy had no criminal record, but the school had filed behavior, reports, citing aggression, isolation, and episodes that required psychological attention. Still, like many similar cases, these records were lost in bureaucratic inaction. As public outrage grew, investigators began to wonder, was this an impulsive act, or had there been premeditation? Had he seen something he was trying to copy? Or was this simply a chaotic, uncontrolled moment? The boy's background revealed a tough upbringing. Living in Peru, he had little family supervision. His mother worked long hours while he roamed the streets freely. From an early age, he displayed atypical behavior, avoided eye contact, spoke little, but was extremely observant. Somi neighbors said he collected broken objects and spent hours alone in a nearby vacant lot. Investigators seized the boy's mother's phone, searching for possible online content that could have influenced him. They interviewed neighbors, classmates, and teachers. Many said he was different, but no one imagined he could be involved in something so disturbing. Meanwhile, Raissa S.'s family entered a grief too deep to explain. Her mother refused to speak to the media. Her father, devastated, asked for privacy. Her school created a memorial space with flowers and drawings. Among Raissa S.'s classmates, silence prevailed. Some couldn't even say her name. Society now split between two theories. Was this a calculated act, or a tragic accident committed by someone emotionally disconnected? It was up to the courts to decide. The case officially entered the jurisdiction of the public prosecutor's office. The juvenile court prosecutor ordered the boy's provisional detention at Fundaka Casa for 45 days, time required for medical evaluations and psychological assessments. He was transferred under guard, showing no emotional reaction. At the institution, early reports described him as introverted. He ate alone, avoided other children, and sometimes refused to participate in activities. One unsettling detail: when given pencils and paper, he drew trees wrapped in wires, faceless figures, and zigzagging lines dividing the paper into two separate worlds. Behavioral experts began building his psychological profile. A severe behavioral disorder became a leading theory. There was no prior record of therapy or medication. The lack of early specialized care might have worsened behaviors that could have been managed with proper guidance. One moment stood out. In a statement, the boy said, "She stopped moving." This cold, emotionless phrase was dissected word by word by investigators. They believed it revealed an awareness of what he had done, even if detached from normal human empathy. The question remained, did he truly understand his actions? Or was he mimicking something without grasping the consequences? Trying to gain more context, police requested surveillance footage from earlier days around Su. They discovered that on at least 2 separate occasions, the boy had been caught entering the park alone and returning about 20 minutes later, suggesting he already knew the route and the exact spot he took Raissa. New psychological tests revealed dissociative behavior. According to the report, he had difficulty linking cause and effect and showed no empathy when others were in pain. In other words, he knew what he was doing but didn't grasp the emotional weight of it. Based on this, the prosecution formally requested a juvenile detention sentence of up to 3 years, which the judge approved. The boy remained at Fundaka Casa. His mother, in his second interview, said he had previously harmed animals and classmates, but she never imagined anything this serious could happen. Tearfully, she asked for help from the state. She didn't want her son abandoned, but admitted she couldn't raise him alone. Meanwhile, São Paulo tried to digest the horror of what had occurred. Raissa, a 9-year-old girl with special needs, had trusted someone familiar. The ending was swift, quiet, and irreversible. In the months that followed, the case faded into the slow wheels of the legal system. The boy remained in custody, now attending regular psychiatric and psychological sessions. One report said he showed no guilt, yet was aware of his actions. This divided professionals. Some called for long-term monitoring. Others saw him as a high risk for recurrence. His defense argued that he was, above all, a victim of negligence, not of one act, but of an entire system. He grew up without support, his signs ignored by schools and protection services. In that sense, he was a walking warning sign. Unseen until it was too late, Raissa's story became a symbol of systemic failure in public health, education, and social services. Experts began speaking out, demanding more care for vulnerable children, not just as victims, but also as potential actors in crises if left unsupported. In a handwritten letter given to a social worker by his mother, the boy wrote, "I remember it was Sunday. I just wanted to play. I did wrong. I don't want to think about it anymore." The letter was added to the case files, and even after so much analysis, no answer was ever conclusive from the Fundação Casa where the boy was held, submitted biannual reports to the juvenile court in 2021. 2 years after the incident, the case resurfaced with the possibility of sentence revision. Brazilian law caps juvenile detention at 3 years. Regardless of the crime, the possibility of his release reignited debates. Many feared he wasn't ready to reintegrate, but legal experts emphasized that the law must be upheld. Raíssa's mother was interviewed again. Her response was brief. "Nothing will bring my daughter back. I just want him to be monitored. That's all." She didn't seek revenge, only accountability. The prosecutor's office requested that if the boy were released, he be sent to a monitored care facility with strict supervision. That request remains under review today. The case of Raíssa Eloá Caparelli Dadona remains etched in Brazil's collective memory. Though no longer making headlines, it lives in legal archives and in the hearts of those who followed every detail. The sweet, quiet girl became a symbol of a painful truth. When the system fails the most vulnerable, everyone loses. The boy completed the maximum juvenile sentence allowed by law, 3 years. According to sources within Fundação Casa, he was assessed by a new multidisciplinary team at the end of his sentence. Final reports kept confidential stated that he had shown behavioral improvement but would still require ongoing supervision. He was sent to a protected care facility where he remains under close watch. His identity is still protected by law, and any attempt to reveal it is strictly forbidden. At this point, the state is trying to balance two responsibilities: protecting society and rehabilitating a young person who, as a child, was at the center of one of the most disturbing stories in recent memory. Raíssa's family has remained silent. They moved out of Peru and rarely speak about the case. Her father, according to friends, hardly mentions her. Her mother now participates in support groups for families of special needs children and advocates for public protection policies. The sea, Anhanguera and the nearby park remain open. But for those who know the story, the wind still whispers what words can no longer explain. No answer has ever silenced the question still hanging in the air. Did the boy know what he was doing? Did he understand the consequences? Or was he also a forgotten child, lost in a world that failed to see the signs? Raissa died on a sunny Sunday in a park meant for joy at the hands of someone she knew. And Brazil is still searching for answers. If this story moved you, like, comment, and share, so that tragedies like this never happen again. What do you think really happened to Raissa? Leave your theory in the comments below.